What scares most people about buying a European, specifically German luxury vehicle? Is it the eye-watering expenses, the massive service rates, the horrendous depreciation, or the overly complex designs that literally are setting you up for failure? Well, truth be told, the key reason why people shy away from German luxury cars these days is the concern about reliability. Because if the reliability is good, vehicles tend to last a long time and you don't have to pour a lot of money into it. If reliability is bad, then you could find yourself in the shop every other week spending thousands and thousands of dollars of your hard-earned income. I'm going to share a list of 5 amazing German luxury vehicles that are guaranteed to give you years of satisfactory driving and also the assurance that you've literally bought one of the most reliable luxury cars available on the market today. Let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. So the first one on our list of some of the most reliable German cars on the market today, what do we have right here? This is, yes, believe it or not, we're talking about a BMW, but not all BMWs fall under this criteria. This one here certainly does, and there's a key reason. It's the engine under the hood, but let's take a quick look at this car first. What we have here is the Bavarian money waster. I mean, BMW, this one here is actually quite dependable for the most part. We have the beautiful headlights with the angel eyes, typical style kidney grills, gorgeous little detail on the hood right there. Look at the wheels, a little bit cheap, but these are okay for these rough roads. Down here we have a great strong splitter. Of course here, very aggressive looking detail across the front of this car. Sporty looking, of course we have a 2-door coupe right here. Beautiful handles, they're always very, very well put together and well bolted. Down around here we have LED taillights. It's a 230. Set of dual exhaust tips, and it's an X-Drive. In other words, it's all-wheel drive, so it works for these garbage road conditions like we see right here. Shark fin for an antenna. We have a nice little sunroof here, so you have some of the luxury amenities. A quite well stapled together leather interior with nice bolstering, nice detail, and nice accents. You also get the latest in the iDrive system in here as well. Then back here we have this great little lip on the back trunk. Overall, it's a sporty little car. It looks great. So in some of these 2 Series cars, you can get a manual gearbox still, but most typically you'd get the 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, as you find in here, where you can pull the paddle shifters, pull your own gears, or just shift it in auto. Very easy to use, very functional, and it's these little 2 Series 2-door cars by BMW are truly the staple of the driving experience. Brings back the whole driving excitement and what we learned about passion for the driving experience. Boom, right there, summarized in one little car. But what's in this car? Well, a big reason why this car is more reliable and it's more dependable than many. First of all, the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, very solid. Number 2 is that, of course, this also has the turbo 4-cylinder engine. It's called the B48. And while the older generation 4-cylinder engines called the N20 had a lot of problems with timing chains piling up, you also had issues with oil filter housings leaking and letting go. And of course, you would also have the oil filters themselves sucking up and dissolving, cause a lot of problems. Some of those engines were really problematic, but these B48s are actually a very dependable engine these days. With a closed deck design, improved cooling, a more efficient drivetrain, and attention to a lot of the other details like timing chain design and their respective ramps, means that this car is both fun, exciting to look at, and very, very reliable. Now, it's not very often you can actually say BMW and reliability in the same sentence, but this is one of those that's actually reasonable. Remember, anything typically in modern day, not the older generation with the N20, think of the newer cars, anything with the 30 Series like we see here, it's going to have that same B48 engine. And it's the B48 that's a smaller brother of the B58, the turbo inline 6, which is also a closed deck design for cooling, more efficient, more robust on the bottom end with the crankcase. It's got forged crankshaft as well as forged connecting rods with cast pistons, means it's quite reliable. Single turbo, only one thing to go wrong there. With BMW, the higher you move up the ranks, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Series cars, the higher you go, the more complex they become and the more challenging the repairs become as well. This is lower on the pecking order and therefore likely will be much more reliable than, for example, even a 5 Series car with a similar drivetrain. And the next one on the list is this beautiful car right behind me here. What do we have here? It's a Porsche, it's a 911. Let's take a closer look and I'll explain why this car is literally one that you need to seriously consider if you're looking at upgrading your next luxury vehicle. Let's take a look. First of all, the Porsche 911 is synonymous with performance, racing, and style. I mean, just look at it. The 911, very famous for its headlights, beautiful oversized wheels, wonderful mirrors, and of course you've got high quality parts like door handles that don't fall off, beautiful taillights. This is a Carrera 4S, that means it's all-wheel drive and it can claw its way through snow and ice. You can get a convertible like this, you can get a coupe, Targa, and the interiors are nice too. Simple, Spartan, but very effective and built of high quality materials. A lot of these cars you can get either an automatic, PDK depending on the generation, which is their double clutch, or a manual gearbox. You can get turbos, naturally aspirated like we have here. This is a 997 generation. You can tell by the taillights I showed you earlier, as well as those rounder headlights. Most of these Porsches have great flares. They look very stout and aggressive. If you look at them straight on, they definitely have a presence to them. And while there are certain nuances with certain 911s, every generation has one little Achilles issue to deal with. For the most part, they're very, very well made. Some generations had rubber-centered clutches that blew apart. Others had the intermediate shaft bearings, which came apart. Other ones like this here, if we're talking about the 3.8 liter in the 997 generation, sometimes had fuel washing in the cylinders and sometimes bore scoring. But there are one-offs and there's unique for specific models and years. But the beauty is, even if you have some repairs to tackle, most 911s hold their value significantly well. Have you seen the market lately on Porsches? Even if you had to put in a $5,000 clutch, just know that you're going to get most of that money back. These cars hold their value better than almost any other car in the market. So fret not on some of those repairs, which there will be a few along the way. They are relatively well built, significantly sturdier than most other luxury cars on the market. And a lot of your investment's going to be protected by the low depreciation rate. Porsche 911 of any generation. So another fairly reliable luxury car is what we have right here, and it's a cute little Audi. What is it exactly? It's a hot little car. Of course, this one here has a turbo 4-cylinder engine, 2 liters of displacement, and makes about 300 horsepower. You'll notice the great rings of fire. Here we have an S3. Big grille, oversized, great little detail on the side. Look at the strength of that front chin spoiler. Looks very stout. Here's an S-style brake caliper, beautiful wheels, and of course they have this beautiful rocker panel that goes all the way along the side. Large glass top. Of course, we also have a great little slips on the back of the deck lid here. One set of dual exhausts and another set of dual exhausts with a great little beautiful splitter at the bottom. LED tail lights. Fun bite-sized proportions on this car. Wonderful lines and creases on the hood make it look very sporty and intentional. Very stout from front on. Looks has a great presence. Wonderful LED headlights. And the interiors are very, very well stapled together too. Beautiful sports seats, quilted stitching, and some of the best quality interiors you'll find anywhere. You can get these in a manual gearbox or the double clutch transmission like you see in this particular car. These are great. They're fun. With 300 horsepower and a turbo engine, these haul serious schwants. Now there's a few notable problems with some of these vehicles. For example, it's been noted that some cars, when they get extremely wet, for example underwater, heavy deluge, occasionally there's the odd car won't start. Ignition problems with coil packs and spark plugs that wear prematurely, and you have to replace them a little sooner than many cars. High idle issues, and a lower volume of problems that you would expect, but not particularly unreliable and not excessively problematic. Quite a stout car that's well performing, great on fuel, looks sharp, and meets the criteria for luxury car right here. These days there's not a lot of cars from the Audi VAG group that meet the criteria of very reliable, but with a few little issues to note, get around that, these cars are quite dependable, and if you learn to red chalk them, you can actually do very, very well. They also take on tunes quite well, and you can get these up to 400 horsepower without too much difficulty. And the next one right here is what we're looking at here, and it's a beautiful Mercedes. What exactly is it? Well, let's take a look around first and I'll explain. Beautiful wheels, of course it is by Benz. Beautiful red calipers, aggressive rear bumper. Of course you've got little vents and slots. This one here has a set of quad exhaust tips. Go down the side, there's some nice flare here. This one's a coupe obviously. Right there, beautiful chrome handles. And we have a twin turbo V8 right here under the hood. Beautiful fold away high gloss mirrors, massive sunroof on top, bulging hood on the front. Of course we have these beautiful, very detailed headlights. Gorgeous front splitter on the front. Of course, AMG version in this particular, and you don't have to get it strictly AMG, but look at that gorgeous Benz. This car definitely looks stout and mean from the front. Go around, look, more flare on the front. What about the interior? Absolutely hitting way above its weight class. Definitely prettier interiors than BMW and Audi offer up. Lots of brushed aluminum accents, high quality stitching, a lot of pretty detail and accents throughout. But what's the scoop on this particular car? This here is the Mercedes AMG C63S. Now, a lot of you that's been following my channel know that I also personally own, this is a W205 generation, C205 generation specifically because it's the coupe. You can get this in the sedan or the coupe, and they're great. We have the turbo 4-cylinder engine. That's a 2-liter displacement, 240 horsepower. Our car has the 9-speed automatic transmission. You can also get a 7-speed auto or a 6-speed manual in certain models and certain markets. They're great cars. They look wonderful. They carry the 3-pointed star. They have all the accent and detail that you could possibly want. Performance in the AMG versions like this, or even the twin turbo V6 of 3-liter displacement, is also a great performer as a halfway point. But as I say, we were looking for a better blend of economy, luxury, reliability, and so we went with the 2-liter engine. And just to note, aside from a few little issues along the way, depending on certain models, rear tires can prematurely wear. The dreaded PCV performance fault that you can possibly get as a check engine light. If you see that, that could be about 3 or 4 hours labor and about $400 part. It's a significant repair, probably $1,000 plus to get that fixed. Also, thermostat, another quite pricey repair because it's kind of difficult to get at. So that's another thing you can expect to see here. Now, there might be a few rattles along the way with some significant miles, but overall, the cars are no less reliable than anything else in the market. As a matter of fact, they're traditionally more dependable than most of the cars you're finding in a lot of their competitors' vehicles in today's day and age. So great technology, stylish looks, modern, innovative, a great plethora of different drivetrains to choose from a twin turbo V8 in here where you're having 500 horse down to the twin turbo V6, and again, as I say, the 4-cylinder engines. Gorgeous, fun, affordable, and relatively reliable too. Number 5 is what we have right here. No badges on there, but we all know what this is. We're talking about a BMW. Great little smoked out taillights, great wheels on there. Of course, we got 4 doors, but it's a Grand Coupe. Head on down and we have great mirrors, large glass on the roof, beautiful front headlights on there. Look at the tiny kidney grills on there as well, quite sharp looking. And down here, a very pointed front end on this vehicle. Big brakes, great vents on the sides. The interior is very sharp looking, high quality leather that wears very, very well. And leave it to BMW, they have some of the nicest touches like that ivory plastic finish interior and the latest iDrive system. So what in fact are we looking at? Yeah, it's a 4-door car. You would consider that a sedan, but BMW calls this a Grand Coupe. And specifically, the engine in here is the one that makes this vehicle particularly reliable in the BMW world. Well, we're talking about it's an inline 6-cylinder engine, and this is called the 640 Grand Coupe. Beautiful front nose on this vehicle. Got some great sight lines on the hood. Sensors there, strong looking front nose on there, and BMW's come a long ways with this engine. It's called the B58. Anything with the 40 designation in the BMW world uses that modern day B58, which is a closed deck design, turbo 6, much improved from the older N54. Yes, these cars make from 330 up to almost 400 horsepower in different states of tune in the different drivetrains and different cars, but you can get that same B58 in the 640, 540, 340, 440, as well as X Series, X3s, X5s, X6s, and X7s. It's a great engine. Very versatile. Other than the odd little coolant leak, the water pumps are now mechanical. They're more reliable. A lot of the cooling systems revised. The crankcase, of course, you've got forged connecting rods as well as crankshaft, makes this vehicle even more durable than anything before. So it's that engine that's under that hood has literally helped claw BMW from being one of the last in terms of overall reliability to one of the top in reliability ratings today by Consumers Reports. While sure, you can still have some coolant leaks, you may still have some oil filter housing leaks, these vehicles are far much improved over anything before it. The N55 before this, which was an open deck design, and the N54 twin turbo was a much, much worse vehicle in terms of overall durability. The 640 Grand Coupe for the win. And with all of that said, if you're looking for something more general, right there, you're going to love that. That's a list of some of the most reliable luxury cars that will literally go forever. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.